Hey everybody, welcome back to PhotoRec.tv. I'm Toby, and I just spent 3 weeks in the desert Southwest with 2 of Sony's 3 new lenses. I've got some thoughts on these lenses and a few sample photos. All right, it's been almost 3 years, you get away from the 2s and the 3s, since Sony has announced any aps-c lenses. Now, those last announced lenses are excellent. They're the 16-55 F2.8 G and the 70-350 G. I've used both of those lenses, love them, I think they're great. Now, one of the real strengths of aps-c, in my opinion, is someone that teaches and leads workshops all over the world, travel friendliness. aps-c lenses and cameras are usually lighter weight and more compact than their full-frame counterparts. And you can certainly use full-frame lenses on aps-c bodies, but you're carrying around a lot more than you need to. So if you stick to just aps-c lenses, there's been some missing focal lengths, especially from Sony's lineup, and there's also been some focal lengths that are in need of updating. Sony is correcting that now with these 3 recently announced lenses. We have the 11 f1.8. It's tiny. We'll talk more about these sizes in a minute. We've got the 15mm f1.4 G and the 10-20 f4 PZ-G. Now, all 3 of these lenses are designed for aps-c and are impressively small and lightweight. And they don't really seem to make any sacrifices to get to these small sizes. Each lens is well suited for photo and video. I really want to emphasize the video side of things. I didn't test that very much, but in a lot of the presentations from Sony, real strong emphasis on hybrid shooters. Smooth autofocus, where they all have 2x linear motors in there that are going to be absolutely silent. And that 10-20 that we'll talk more about in a moment has completely internal focusing that is silent. Now, as I said, I mostly use these for photos, so let's dive into all the details and my thoughts. First up is the 10-20. It's an f4 PZ-G. The PZ means it is a power zoom lens. It's got a switch on the side of the lens that allows you to zoom in and out. This is great for video. It allows you to smoothly zoom in and out and at an easily repeatable speed. That zoom is internal and so is the focusing. This makes it great for video work on a gimbal. You've got no change in balance as you shift from 10 to 20. The lens offers a constant f4 and has a customizable focus hold button. Now, Sony's listing this as the world's smallest ultra-wide zoom, and it weighs just 6.2 ounces or 176 grams. Now, with the Sony aps-c crop factor of 1.5, this becomes a 15-30 millimeter lens. As I said, this was not one of the lenses I took with me to the desert Southwest. There are exceptionally few lenses in this ultra-wide zoom category. You've got Sony's original 10-18 f4 announced way back in 2012. That weighs 7.9 ounces or 224 grams. It is a stabilized lens, though image quality is not great and it's not as consistent as I would like. You have the recently announced Tamron 11-20 f2.8, which weighs in at 11.8 ounces or 335 grams. The Tamron lens does offer a faster aperture, but it's missing power zoom, an AF/MF switch, and the focus hold button. It's also not an internal zoom. Now, at the time of this recording, I've not been provided final pricing for these lenses, so check the description below. I'm going to update there. I was told this lens would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800. The Tamron 11-20 retails for $829. As I said, did not go hands-on with this lens, but Sony honestly has not released a bad lens in the last couple of years, and if you're looking for an ultra-wide that's going to do well for photos and especially video, this lens should be well suited for you. If you're looking for a lens for mostly photo and you want a faster aperture, maybe you're thinking about astrophotography and having that versatility of a zoom, or you desire more creative control over background blur, the Tamron 11-20 at an f2.8 might be the lens to consider. Now, speaking of faster aperture, let's talk about these next 2 lenses, and these are the lenses that I've had my hands on for the last couple of weeks in the desert Southwest. First up, we've got the Sony 11mm f1.8 and the Sony 15mm f1.4. Again, designed for crop sensor, so you have an effective focal length of 16.5 with the 11mm and 22.5 with the 15mm f1.4. Again, as I said, I've used both extensively over the last few weeks, and I'm impressed. No corners cut here to get to these nice small sizes. The 11mm f1.8 provides a physical AF/MF switch and a focus hold button, again customizable through the menu. You've got a nicely sized focus ring with responsive focus control. I found it very easy to dial in manual focus on the stars. Filter size, 55mm. The lens weighs just 6.3 ounces, and without the included lens hood, it is just 2.26 inches long. Now, despite the small size, I was thoroughly impressed. Image quality was excellent. Close focusing capabilities are fantastic. It's not a macro lens, but you can get incredibly close. I was in Snow Canyon State Park. I like this little scene here. I felt like the scale was difficult to judge, making it an intriguing shot. And then in the second shot, when I zoomed in, I realized this is actually an ant portrait. Again, not a macro lens, but it is very sharp and it is capable of nice close focusing. Here's another example of close focusing. It's listed at 4.7 inches, which is 0.12 meters. Now, my memory of this shot was that the lens hood was almost touching the subject. Now, let's move on and peek the corners. In the corners of this lens, I see no cause for concern. They are nice and sharp. This shot needed to be handheld, and that faster aperture allowed me to keep my shutter speed up and my ISO down. Sun stars were, for the most part, very clean. I loved the sun stars coming out of this 11. During our workshop, we were treated to Native American performances on the edge of Horseshoe Bend on Navajo land, and afterwards, Tony here posed for me. Setting sun, f11, we've got a lovely, clean sun star. Background bokeh, very pleasing, and again, because of the close focusing possibilities, you can actually get some noticeable background blur with such a wide-angle lens. That's a bit unique. Now, there is some distortion. It's inevitable at this focal length, and at the time of this video, Lightroom doesn't have a profile, but eyeballing manual distortion adjustment, you lose a little. Again, normal. Generally, the distortion across the field of view is very well controlled. I see no issues with this lens. Really, it's got no competition. There's nothing else this wide or this fast that also offers autofocus. I mean, if you're willing to consider manual focus, there are quite a few lenses, and some of them will save you money. Again, I'm not positive on pricing. I've been given a range of about $500 to $600, which does put it higher than most of those manual focus lenses. But I find autofocus lenses to be much more versatile. And I'll say, if you're trying to use wide-angle lenses outside of astrophotography, it can be very difficult to tell if you have good sharpness when manually focusing, because everything you're looking at through the viewfinder is generally quite far away from you. I did use this for astro. Stars look great even out in the corners. Very impressed with this lens. Here are a few more photos that I captured with it. The third lens announced is this 15mm f1.4. This is a G designated lens. Sony's got three tiers. You've got GM, professional level, highest quality. Note that there are no GM lenses specific for APS-C. Then you've got G series, which you can find both at the full frame level and APS-C. And then you've got ones without any letter designation at all, like the 11. Honestly, I see optically very little difference between these two lenses. The only real difference, maybe talk about build quality slightly. This is a nicer build quality with a 15. And you also have some additional features that you don't have on the 11, like a manual aperture ring with a click-declick switch. And of course, you do have the customizable hold button and AF/MF switch as well. It's only slightly larger than the 11, which is impressive considering it's a fast lens at f1.4. The 15mm weighs 7.7 ounces, and it's just a ½ inch longer at 2.73 inches. It also uses 55mm filter threads and includes a lens hood. I really like the aperture ring on here. Having that makes this, in combination with the A6000 series camera, even better. Here's why. I mean, these cameras are incredibly portable, but one thing Sony doesn't do is give you dual dedicated dials for aperture and shutter speed, forcing you to use the rear command dial for adjusting when you're shooting on full manual. And let's not mince words, this dial is crummy. It is too easy to accidentally activate one of the side options when you just want to change your shutter speed or aperture, depending on how you have it configured. Now the fix is to not shoot full manual, use it in a priority mode so you're just dialing with this thumb ring here, or throw on the 15. And now you do have dedicated dials, one on the camera, thumb, and one on the lens. It's very nice that way. I want to see more lenses from Sony that have a dedicated aperture ring. General lens sharpness with this 15, it's excellent. Corner sharpness, again, excellent. Distortion, minor. I did photograph the stars. They look great, again, out to the corners. Now this lens will be a little bit more expensive, coming in somewhere between $700 and $800. Now that is a bit more expensive than its closest competitor, the Sigma 16mm F1.4, which I have shot with and taken on Star Astro workshops. It's a good lens. I like it. It's not as sharp. It's much larger, at least twice the weight, and it doesn't offer the feature set of fast, smooth focus, aperture control on the ring with a click-declick, and even the MF-AF switch. That all said, I think the Sigma offers a solid value, but for many of you, especially those looking for a better control experience, the aperture ring, customizable button, faster, smoother autofocus, I think the Sony's going to be worth the extra money. Now here are a few more 15mm sample photos. All right, we can start to wrap this up. Sony's announced 3 new lenses for aps-c cameras. Yes! I'm very impressed with the 11, very impressed with the 15. I think the 10 to 20 will be excellent. I'm looking forward to reviews of that and getting my own hands on it at some point. Now, I'd just like to see Sony release a new aps-c body that does have a better full manual control scheme. I mean, Sony is killing it with their lens selection from aps-c on up to full frame. Best out of all the different mirrorless options out there right now, but we need a better aps-c mirrorless body. If you've got questions about any of these lenses or anything I've said in this video, you can just leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram, send me an email. All of my contact information is right down below in the description, and you can also find links to buy these if you're interested. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I do still make videos when I'm not traveling or teaching on workshops, and thumbs up is always appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.